Okay, Shalom Akim. Kahalayim na Yahabashim Yashabashim Hakudash. And double on Instagram as an apostles. Thari how Thari Yashak for the strength in order to make this video. And Yaratazar they also edified as well. And exhorted, man. Yeah, so like, just close the door quickly. But yeah, man, as you can see here, it says unusual surge of 9 armed sea stars reported along Florida's space coast. This is, as it says, unusual sea stars, man. They call them starfish as well. Yeah, man. All these unique fishes that unique fish that come out of the seas. That's also a sign of things to come. Because in fact, I'm gonna let the video play Yaratazar. Yeah, as we always do it, bring up precepts, bring out the video, or after doing the video as well. But point is that this is unusual because people only see the five starfish, the five limb starfish, because obviously they got 5 limbs, and not really 9. They don't really see 9, man. Yeah, man, that is very unusual. Which even 9 also represents foundation as well, man. So I think it means something else too, but for what I know, it means foundation, which that could be seen as the foundation for the destruction to come. Normally there are signs for things to come, and those signs can be seen as the foundation of the destruction of Babylon to come. The upcoming chaos that will arrive. So that could be seen as a spiritual sign as well. But let's continue on with this. Or let's start this off.
All new at 6, creatures are coming ashore on the Space Coast. Rare sea stars are catching people off guard.
Yeah, people aren't sure why there's a spike in these sightings, but they're trying to help the animals get back to safety. And Fox 35's Esther Bauer spoke to some people who saw the stars on the beach.
All across the Space Coast, we've been seeing reports about sea stars coming to shore. Unfortunately, we didn't see one for ourselves while walking on the beach, but several beachgoers did and say it's something they won't forget. These 9 arms and tiny tentacles stopped this beachgoer in her tracks.
I was definitely a little shocked. I've seen, 5 armed sea stars before, but I've never seen anything like this.
Elise Craig was walking near Melbourne.
And normally, if they're unusual sea creatures that are appearing at shore, on the surface of the beach, it typically means that they're deep sea creatures, man, which means they don't really reside on the surface level of the ocean or the surface level of the beach shore. They reside at the very, very deep depths of the ocean or the seas. So let's continue.
Beach when she stumbled on the sea star.
He was large. I've never seen a starfish this large.
She posted her find on Facebook and quickly realized she wasn't the only one to see a surge of stars on the Space Coast.
And a lot of people were commenting, showing some of the things they've found. Same type of sea stars.
Still alive. Denise Derrick Wright stumbled on 2 stars recently in Satellite Beach.
I was kind of apprehensive when I looked at it.
But she knew she had to help get the star out of the sand and back into the water because it was still alive.
Very cool to see, so that's why I knew I was supposed to put it back in the ocean just to be safe.
Sea stars are related to sand dollars, sea urchins, and sea cucumbers. The creatures are only found in salt water.
So I don't know really where they're coming from or why they're showing up.
A biogeochemist told us it's too soon to tell what could be bringing them out of the water.
Well then, there's a very strong possibility. As I named this video, I forgot the name, man, but obviously it's pertaining to Leviathan and these unusual sea creatures. It's unusual because you don't normally see that. That's the only reason why it's unusual. Usual, you typically see it on a regular basis, but unusual, you don't see it on a regular basis, man. That's a 9 limb or 9 armed starfish, man. You know, and obviously Leviathan's warming up the seas. You know, the reason why I got this up, because this is a Godzilla over here. You know, he's warming up the seas, which really, look, Godzilla is like a representation of Leviathan. When Leviathan actually comes out, he's going to strike fear within the people, man. He's going to strike fear just from the sight alone, man. Oh, boy. So, yeah, Leviathan is going to do quite a job, you know, on these heathens. And, you know, him waking up, you know, because normally, even just studying normal biology as well, when you're about to sleep, you know, you're entering that mode of sleep, thing is your body actually reduces in temperature. Then of course you go through your regular sleep cycles. After the sleep cycles, when you're about to wake up, you know, spirit enters, the Most High puts your spirit back in your body, you know, Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And then what happens then is that your body actually warms up again. So when a person wakes up, they get warmer. When a person sleeps, they get cooler. They're supposed to get cooler. That's just the natural way of things that the Most High had it for. You know, obviously, if you do some research, there's evidence to it online. So, point being is Leviathan is actually warming up right now. That's probably a sign of him warming up. The fact that these creatures are coming out of their natural habitats inside the ocean or inside the seas, and because of discomfort, it's probably because of the Leviathan warming up the place, man. You know, it's just like a hot summer's day. You know, if the air's too hot and, you know, everywhere's just humid, you know, you want to find somewhere cool, you know, like a shade, or have some ice cubes or something, you know, to cool off, man. That's the thing. So it's the same reasoning you can apply to these starfish and whales that are coming up shore, which Yaratazar might do either a part 2 of this, or I'll include it in this video depending on how time goes. But yeah, let's see what Silence gonna do, man. Is Amos 9? You know what, let me just type this. It's in Amos 5:19. So yeah, Amos 5:19 is really key for us. So Amos 5:19, as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall and a serpent bit him, man. You know, Leviathan you can liken as that very, very humongously huge or immensely huge sea creature or sea serpent. You know, there used to be stories on that, man. I remember there was this a book that was trending back in the day in primary school in year 3. I don't know if that's 3rd grade in America, but where there was this series called Beast Quest, man. You know, all the boys were obsessed with reading that, man. I was like, okay, I'm gonna read this too as well. So I asked my mom and dad to buy the books, and one of them, I think, in the book 2. And that was back in the day when reading was genuinely pushed in these schools, man, because there were benefits to reading as well. If you apply reading to a child, you know, what the positive impacts, of course, it will increase their attention span specifically, because of course you have to be consciously focused in order to read the words of any book, any book, you know. So of course, you know, when the scriptures say, "Blessed is he that readeth," yes, you know, blessed is he that readeth, you know, because it will help even with, you know, physically as well, not just physically but spiritually, you know, because even the books that you consume, it affects the spiritual state that you're in as well, you know. So scriptures, of course, being the highest vibrational book, you know, in all existence, really. But anyways, the point is that reading, there's benefits to it, man. You know, increased attention span. You know, that was back in the day, early 2000s, when you know, back in primary school for me, man, when we were all recommended and recommended to read, man. So yeah, that was just, fictional books and, whatever little non-fiction books that we can understand to increase our comprehension as well. But yeah, anyways, so okay, sometimes I go on a tangent. Yeah, Amos 5 and 11, as if a man did. Oh yeah, the point of me saying that Beast Quest, that's the name of the book series, was because there was actually a Leviathan inside the book, man. Not literally named Leviathan, but there was a sea serpent. So of course that can be referenced as a root, that can be rooted from Leviathan from Job 41. So that's Amos 5 and 19, where it says, as if a man did flee from a lion, and a bear met him, and went into a house and leaned his hand on the wall, and the serpent bit him. And that's the time that that's how Jacob's trouble is going to be like for these 2/3. For anyone who doesn't have Yahweh Shem Yahshua, this is how it's going to be like. A man that did flee from a lion. So it's going to be from one adversity to another, one to another, one to another, one to another. So of course we're going to face this too, but the only difference between us and the 2/3 and the wicked Israelites is we will be guided and protected and shielded by Yahweh Shem Yahshua, man. In all manner of ways. So, and yeah, those things are going to be to our surprise in the time to come. And Yaratazar, that's what will also help to build up our faith too. Well, our faith is being built up so that we can expect these things. The protection from Yahweh Shem Yahshua. So, the point being is, as Leviathan is waking up, these sea creatures want to stay away from Leviathan, man. Because, you get too close to Leviathan, they'll probably die from heat. Now that's just me making a theoretical statement, man. Yeah, so it's going to be a time of adversity. That's really the point. A time of great adversity. And yeah, Godzilla. You got Godzilla right there. This one's from Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, which was the most recent movie of the Godzilla series. You got Kong over there, the massive gorilla, and then you got Godzilla on the left, which is you can see as a massive sea serpent, man. He looks more like a dragon in this one, but a dragon is a serpent of a kind anyway, so that's that. Let's continue on.
Soon to tell what could be bringing them out of the water. Something as simple as a patch of low oxygen in the ocean or dredging offshore.
And the thing about that is, of course, I need to do more research on this, but I presume that the hotter a place is, the less oxygen is available to actually breathe. And of course, water is H2O, 2 hydrogen atoms and an oxygen atom as well. So the point being is, oxygen is one of the components of the waters, the seas, the oceans. And if Leviathan is heating it up, it means that, it's simple, isn't it? If a liquid heats up, it turns into gas, which means the gas is going to need to escape into another medium, it turns into air, a vapor. So of course, if it turns into air, which means there's less water available, technically there's less oxygen available too, just from the heat. So, that's just, me reasoning there with science. But, for any brother that can understand, man, the point is that as Leviathan wakes up, the sea creatures are uncomfortable, man. They are uncomfortable.
The Pacific coast had a major die-off about 10 years ago, but those sea stars were killed because of a disease.
You know what it reminded me of as well? There's I don't know if it's a horror or alien type of movies where you have these flipping creatures that be crawling, tentacle-like creatures, and they just latch onto the face of the individual to control them, man. It's like demons, but in a more fictional, alien-like manner. So which obviously we'll learn more. Yaratazar in the kingdom of Yahushua. We're gonna know all of this, man. Spiritual realm, physical realm, the things that are hidden, the things of which we're not aware of, man. It just reminds me of that. Especially if I was shit. So yeah, there's many wonders of Yahweh Hashem Yahshua. There's many creations of Yahweh Hashem Yahshua.
caused by warmer water. Thankfully, these stars are still alive and just need some help getting back to safety.
So I just wanted to make sure that I could protect him and get him back in the water so he could continue living on.
If you do save a star, try to scoop them up with sand and place them gently in the water so you don't disturb their tentacles. And while our local sea stars only had 9 arms, according to NOAA, these sea stars can have up to 40 arms, and if one falls off, it'll grow back just fine. Reporting in Brevard.
Wait, hold on. Let me check something. Hold on, man.
Reports about sea stars.
5 armed sea stars before, but I've never seen anything like this.
Elise Craig was walking near Melbourne Beach when she stumbled.
Okay.
The Pacific Coast had a major die-off about 10 years ago, but those.
So I just wanted to make sure that I could protect him and get him.
While our local sea stars only had 9 arms, according to NOAA, these sea stars can have up to 40 arms, and if one falls off, it'll grow back just fine.
Okay, so that means there's hold on. There's actually bigger starfish out there, man. 40 arms. You know how big those things have to be to actually have 40 arms? Remember, the scriptures talk about the Elohim creating a fish after their own kind. Let's see if I can find it though. Genesis 3. Actually, no. So it can't be Genesis 3. Hold on. Actually, 121. Should be 121, something like that. Yeah, come on. So Genesis 1, verse 21, and the Most High, and the Elohim, because that's a true breakdown. Yaratazam need to do another breakdown as well. You know, it could be Genesis 1. I need to do a breakdown on this. So Genesis 1 and 21, and the Elohim. Let me show you why it's Elohim. Just a quick thing. And the Elohim, obviously I will get to the point. Just bear with me. You gotta hold up. So it says Elohim here. You know, as you can see, Elohim in the transliteration for the root word for God. But that Elohim actually is translated back to Elohim, which is the ancient Hebrew from the original ancient Hebrew for God in this context of Genesis 1, which means Elohim means, which we're going to get into, judges, supernatural beings, powers, divine beings, you know, gods with a lowercase g. As it says here, Elohim, which is the actual ancient Hebrew word is Elohim, is rulers, judges, divine ones, angels, gods, lowercase g. You know, so that's what it's referring to here. That's why it says let us make man. You know, the reason why it says let us is because it wasn't just one, it wasn't just the Most High doing. The Most High gave the blueprint, and of course Yahushua, the chief angel, and of course the elect, which are the first fruits, were the ones creating it. But as I said, I'm gonna get deeper into it. When I get into that Genesis 1 breakdown. You know, so that'll be in time. But anyways, just to get to the point, Genesis 1 and 21, and the Elohim, the powers, created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And the Most High saw that it was good. So it says here, hold on. It also says there in verse 22. Actually, wait. Okay, verse 22. I'll read verse 22. So it says, and the Elohim blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. So where it says in verse 21, which is the keeper, it says, and the Elohim created great whales, of course referring to fish, you know, different sorts of fish, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind. You see, so when it says their kind, He's talking about like their group, their family of a creature. You know, so let's see. I just want to get into the root word of kind. So the root word of kind, it says here,
Strong's H 4327. Mean. Mean.
so mean.
Second entry. Moon. Moon.
So mean or moon being the root word for kind, that all after their kind. It means sometimes a species, usually of animals. It says groups of living organisms belong in the same created kind if they have descended from the same ancestral gene pool. This does not preclude new species because of this represents a partitioning of the original gene pool. Information is lost or conserved, not gained. A new species could arise when population is isolated and inbreeding occurs. By this definition, a new species is not a new kind, but a further partitioner of an existing kind. Point being is, it's just a group of living organisms that belong to the same created kind, man. You know, same group. And just by that logic on the starfish, you know, there's different type of starfish, man. The report literally said there's some that have up to 40 arms. Those are of the same kind. That kind is called the kind of the starfish. You know, so that's the group of the starfish. There are different kinds, the different types of starfish, but of the same kind, of the same group.
Sea stars only had 9 arms. According to NOAA, these sea stars can have up to 40 arms, and if one falls off, it'll grow back just fine. Reporting.
Yeah, if one falls off, it grows back just fine, man. You know, so the point is, there's some that have up to 40, and of course you bet that they're gonna be some big starfish, man, really big starfish. So, you know, if that 9-armed one came out, how much more when Leviathan warms up a bit more, man, and wakes up? You know, you're gonna start seeing 40, maybe even more, starfish, which have bigger and bigger limbs, which people start to call absurd, unusual. This is uncommon. So all of that, man, is going to put fear within people because it's going to be unusual times. People going to start bugging out. So yeah, you know what, Yaratazar, this one I'm gonna end off soon. I just want to see what pre-sale I can get. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna end off there. Yaratazar on the next one needs to get into Job 41. And Yaratazar, I'm gonna get a few precepts in the part 2, but you know, part 2 shouldn't be too long. You know, since the main part was made here. But if it is long, it's because I got another clip as well to talk about. So Yaratazar, they edified. And you know, the point really is Leviathan is waking up, man. So yeah, Shalom, Yahbashim Shabrakatha, Kahalanimra, Yahabashim Shabashim Kakudash, and once more double on Instagram and Apostles. Shalom.